Japan is currently on the verge of one of the most large-scale technological transitions in its modern history. And if you look at what is happening not superficially but more deeply, it becomes clear that this is not just about the introduction of new devices or the automation of individual processes, but about the gradual transformation of the entire national security system, where humanoid robots and artificial intelligence are beginning to play a key role. Against the backdrop of rapid population aging, a shortage of personnel in law enforcement agencies, and a sharp increase in investments in robotics, the Japanese government is making a cautious but strategically extremely important step: the integration of robotic systems into police and public safety infrastructure. This does not look like a sudden leap where tomorrow the streets will be filled with robot police officers. Rather, it is a well-thought-out multi-level strategy where each stage prepares the next, and right now we are witnessing the very first, but possibly the most important stage of this revolution. If you look at Japan's demographic situation, it becomes clear why this country is becoming one of the first candidates for such a transformation. More than 30% of the population are people over 65 years old, and this figure continues to grow. This means not only pressure on the healthcare system and the economy, but also a direct shortage of workforce, including in the police. There are fewer young officers, the workload on existing personnel is increasing, and at the same time the level of safety must remain at the same high level. Under such conditions, technology stops being just an option and becomes a necessity. This is exactly where robots enter the scene. At the current stage, the Japanese government is not talking about fully replacing police officers. On the contrary, the focus is on supporting and expanding the capabilities of existing forces. Robots that are beginning to be integrated into the security system perform basic but extremely important functions. These include round-the-clock patrolling, monitoring public spaces, analyzing video streams, interacting with citizens in standard situations, as well as real-time data transmission to command centers. Such tasks may seem simple at first glance, but they take up a huge percentage of police time. Freeing people from these functions allows resources to be redistributed and focused on more complex and critically important tasks. Special attention is being given to autonomous patrol robots. Even now in Japan, you can see machines that independently move through streets, shopping centers, stations, and office buildings. They are equipped with 360-degree vision systems, motion sensors, thermal imagers, and algorithms for facial and behavioral recognition. Such robots are capable of detecting suspicious actions, recording incidents, and instantly transmitting information to the control center. At the same time, they do not make forced decisions, do not enter into conflict, and do not replace humans in critical situations. Their task is to be the eyes and ears of the security system. However, a much more interesting level is the next one: humanoid robots. This is where Japan has a massive advantage thanks to decades of research and development. Companies such as Kawasaki, Honda, and others have already created prototypes of humanoid machines capable of moving, interacting with objects, and even communicating with people. One of the most striking examples is the Kaleido robot from Kawasaki. This is not just an experimental model, but a full-fledged platform that in the future can be adapted to perform tasks in various fields, including security. Kaleido is a robot capable of walking, maintaining balance, climbing stairs, and performing physical actions that require precision and coordination. In the context of policing, this opens up enormous possibilities. Imagine a robot that can patrol complex areas, enter buildings, interact with objects, and at the same time remain fully controlled and safe. At this stage, such robots are not yet used in real police operations, but their potential is obvious. Another important aspect is the integration of artificial intelligence. Modern AI systems make it possible to analyze human behavior, identify anomalies, and predict potential threats. In combination with robots, this creates a fundamentally new model of security, where the machine does not simply record what is happening, but actively participates in analyzing the situation. For example, a robot can notice a person behaving suspiciously, transmit the data to a system where AI compares the behavior with thousands of other scenarios, and determines the level of threat. If necessary, The information is passed to a human operator who makes the final decision. It is important to understand that Japan is not acting in a vacuum. This process is taking place against the backdrop of a global technology race, where China plays a particularly significant role. The Chinese government is already actively integrating robotic systems into urban infrastructure, including security. This creates additional pressure and stimulates Japan to accelerate its developments. However, the approaches of the two countries differ. China acts more aggressively and at scale, while Japan focuses on gradual integration and high system reliability. Another factor is public perception. In Japan, people are traditionally more open to robots than in most other countries. This is related to cultural characteristics, where robots are often perceived not as a threat, but as helpers. This significantly simplifies the process of introducing new technologies, especially in such a sensitive field as security. Nevertheless, even with all the advantages, the integration of robots into policing faces serious challenges. One of them is legal responsibility. If a robot makes a mistake, who will be held accountable? The developer, the operator, or the state? This question remains open and requires the development of new laws and regulations. Another problem is the security of the systems themselves. Any technology can be hacked, and in the case of robots, this can lead to extremely serious consequences. That is why enormous attention is paid to cybersecurity and data protection. Looking into the future, it becomes clear that the current stage is only the beginning. Within the next 5 to 10 years, we may see a significant expansion of robot capabilities. They will be able not only to observe and transmit data, but also to interact with people on a deeper level. For example, conducting interviews, assisting with navigation, participating in search operations, and even performing certain elements of investigations. With the development of AI, robots will be able to analyze complex situations, take context into account, and make more informed decisions. However, it is important to emphasize that this is not about replacing humans, at least in the foreseeable future. Rather, it is a symbiosis where humans and machines work together, complementing each other. Robots take on routine and dangerous tasks, while humans focus on decision-making and interaction with society. If we try to imagine what Japanese policing will look like in 10 to 15 years, we can see a completely new picture. Streets where robots patrol alongside officers, command centers where data is analyzed by AI in real time, systems capable of preventing crimes before they are committed. And all of this is the result of the steps being taken right now. That is why we can speak about the beginning of a revolution, not a loud or demonstrative one, but a deep and systemic one. A revolution that changes not only technology, but also the very philosophy of security. Japan, like many other Asian countries, is betting on a future where technology becomes an integral part of society. And if today robots are only beginning to patrol the streets, tomorrow they may become full participants in the security system, working on equal terms with humans. This process has already been launched. It is developing gradually but confidently, and it is possible that Japan will become one of the first countries where we will see full integration of humanoid robots into policing, not as science fiction, but as a new reality.